Welcome back to our channel, and our topic for today is about literature. The word derives from a Latin word litera, which means letter. Literature means written artistic works, especially those with a high and lasting artistic value. Types of literature: prose, prosa, which means straightforward. It consists of written works within the common flow of conversation presented in a straightforward manner. Types of prose: novel. This is a long narrative divided into chapters. The events may be taken from true-to-life stories and spans for a long period of time. There are many characters involved. Short story. This is a narrative involving one or more characters, one plot, and one single impression. 3. Plays. This is presented on stage, is divided into acts, and each act has many scenes. Number 4 is legends. There are fictitious narratives, usually about origins. It provides historical information regarding the culture and views of a particular group of people or country. Number 5, folk tales. A traditional narrative, usually anonymous and handed down orally. Number 6, fables. These are also fictitious, and they deal with animals and inanimate things who speak and act like people. Their purpose is to enlighten the minds of children to events that can mold their ways and attitudes. Number 7, myth. A traditional sacred story, typically revolving around the activities of gods and heroes, which aim to explain a natural phenomenon or cultural practice. Anecdotes. There are merely products of writer's imagination, and the main aim is to bring out lessons to the reader. For example, a mother tells her son a story about a family vacation when she was growing up. Essay at number 9. This expresses the viewpoint or opinion of the writer about a particular problem or event. The best example of this is the editorial page of a newspaper. Biography. This deals with the life of a person, which may be about himself, his autobiography, or that of the others. Number 11, the news. This is a report of everyday events in society, government, science, and industry, accidents, etc., happening nationally or not. Oration. This is a formal treatment of a subject and is intended to be spoken in public. It appeals to the intellect, to the will, or to the emotions of the audience. Poetry. It is an imaginative awareness of experience and expressed through meaning, sound, and rhythmic language choices as to evoke emotional response. Types of poetry: narrative poetry, dramatic poetry, and lyrical poetry. Narrative poetry. This form describes the important events in life, either real or imaginary. Types of narrative poetry: epic. It is an extended narrative about heroic exploits under supernatural control. It may deal with heroes and gods. The hero-heroine usually has the following characteristics: idealism, courage, wisdom, beauty, endurance, chivalry, and justice. Example of this is the Beowulf. Metrical tales. This is a narrative which is written in verse and can be classified either as a ballad or metrical romance. Example, The Lady of Shalott by Lord Alfred Tennyson. Ballad. This is considered as the shortest and simplest of the narrative poems. It has a simple structures and tells of a single incident. Example, The Rime of the Ancient Mariner by Samuel Taylor Coleridge. Dramatic poetry, an emotional piece of literature which includes a story which is recited, soliloquy, and dramatic monologues are the main instrument of this form. Types of dramatic poetry: comedy. This word comes from the Greek term komos, meaning festivity or revelry. This form usually is light and written with purpose of amusing and usually has happy ending. Melodrama. This is usually seen in musical play with the opera. Today, this is related to tragedy just as the farce to comedy. It arouses immediate and intense emotion, and usually sad, but there is happy ending for the principal character. Tragedy. This involves the hero struggling mightily against dynamic forces. He meets death or ruin without success and satisfaction obtained by the protagonist in the comedy. Farce. This is an exaggerated comedy. It seeks to arouse mirth by laughable lines. Situations are too ridiculous to be true. The characters seems to be caricatures and the motives undignified and absurd. Social poems. This form is either purely comic or tragic, and it pictures the life of today. It aims to bring about changes in social conditions. Lyric poetry. Originally, this refers to that kind of poetry meant to be sung to the accompaniment of a lyre, but now this applies to any type of poetry that expresses emotion and feelings to the poet. They are usually short, simple, and easy to understand. Types of lyrical poetry. Folk songs. There are short poems intended to be sung. The common theme is love, despair, grief, doubt, joy, hope, and sorrow. Sonnets. This is a lyric of poem of 14 lines dealing with the emotion and feeling or an idea. There are two types, the Italian and the Shakespearean. Elegy. This is a lyric poem which expresses feeling of grief and melancholy and whose theme is death. Ode. This is a poem of noble feeling expressed with dignity with no definite number of syllables or definite number of lines in a stanza. Psalms. This is a song praising God or the Virgin Mary and containing philosophy of life. Awit. These have been measures of 12 syllables, dodecasyllabic, and slowly sung to the accompaniment of the guitar or the bandoria. Corridos. These have a measures of 8 syllables, octosyllabic, and is recited to a martial beat. The songs are often about oppression, daily life of peasants, and other socially important information. What are the elements of literature? These are emotional appeal, intellectual appeal, and humanistic appeal. Emotional appeal is attained when the reader is emotionally moved or touched by any literary work. Example, how do I love thee? Let me count the ways I love thee to the depth and breadth and height my soul can reach, with feeling outside for the ends of being an ideal grace. How Do I Love Thee by Elizabeth B. Browning. Intellectual appeal means it appeals to the mind as opposed to the emotional appeal. Example, the novel Noli Me Tangere and El Filibusterismo. Humanistic appeal can be attained when a literary work makes the reader an improved person with a better outlook in life and with a clear understanding of her, of his or his inner life. Example, what would have happened if she had never lost those jewels? Who knows? Who knows how strange life is? How fickle, how title, how little is needed to ruin or to save. The necklace. Classification of literature. Escape literature is written for entertainment purposes only. Interpretative literature is written to broaden and sharpen our awareness in life. Moralizing literature is to present moral values for the reader to understand and appreciate. Example, the monkey's point of view. Propaganda literature. This kind of literature is found not only in the history books and advertising books, but also in some books describing one's personal success and achievements in life. Psychological continuum of the individual therapeutic value. It could be looked on as a sophisticated modern elaboration of the idea of catharsis, an emotional relief or experience by the reader, thereby helping him recover from previous pent-up emotion. Okay class, here are the questions for you to answer about our topic. types of literature. Of course, you know how to send your answer sheet, the JPEG form or the soft copy into our email in our Google Classroom, and just keep the hard copy for compilation to be submitted on finals. All right, so number one question: how do you solve a literary question? Number two: what is the first and perhaps the most fundamental step in interpreting a literary piece? What is considered English literature? What are the 5 types of literature? What are the types of literature review? How can you or how you can best analyze a literary piece? Which is the most important part of literary theory or criticism? Why is it important to analyze when you read a literary piece? What is the oldest form of literature? How many eras are there in English literature? Why do people study literature? How many types of literature do we have? And how many forms of literature are there? Alright, that's it, folks. And don't forget to make comments on our YouTube channel, of course, so that I can notice you there. Just make any comments, and that will be your attendance in our YouTube channel. All right? Thank you so much.